I feel like such a failure. I don't have a Jamie Lee Curtis story.
I feel like there's one on the
I
tip
had a
of
bit of a
Matthew's
crush.
Oh, say that again?
I said I had a bit of a crush on Jamie Lee Curtis growing up.
Bus 963 really stressed me out watching it. But I want to ask, I'm going to start with you. Out of all the everyday heroes that you've played, what did you admire about Kevin?
Well, the everyday heroes we're talking about, like, they're kind of different than first responders, right? Because the first responders waiting on the crisis, and when they get the call, it's bad news. They've got to go to the crisis and take on. That's what they do. People like Kevin, like Mary, a bus driver, a school teacher, they're not signed up to, when crisis comes, I go to crisis. But as I heard Kevin say to me, when I asked him, why did you decide to say, I'm not going to go pick up my mom and my son, and I'm going to go pick up, I'm going to take a right, and I'm going to go pick up these 22 kids. And he was like, well, it was my job. We kept it that simple. Now, I suppose there was more going on than just that practicality, but that practicality sort of is what led him to go do that. It's a tough question that for any of us to answer. What would we do in that situation? I don't know if we could answer it. We'd have to be in that situation to see what we'd do. But there you go. That's what whether you're first responder or just someone where a crisis comes in your face and you got to deal with it. You're doing your job, like we were. What would heroes run towards a crisis instead of away from it? That seems to be a common denominator of any heroic act.
For sure. And even though they don't, both of your characters don't necessarily start out aligned, they eventually get there. So, America, I wanted to talk to you because I'm thinking about Mary and the decisions she had to make and to try to keep everybody calm. But it's also like, the people were still in rebuild from 2018. And then obviously the wildfires earlier this year. It's kind of surreal, the timing of it as well. When you're telling a story like this, is there a layer of responsibility, or maybe just tell me how you approach it?
Well, I think that, that it's all about the quality of the storytelling. I mean, Paul chose to take on a story with a very real to life backdrop that you can't negate. Right. But at the end of the day, you got to give audiences a reason to care. You got to give audiences a reason to stay with it. If they just want to hear about the bad news, they'll turn on the news, But sure. You're asking people to sit with you, to invest in characters, to invest in a story. Granted, this is a real life story, so easier to get invested in that way. But I think it's about execution. It's about how do you as a storyteller use your skills and your craft to keep people engaged in what you're trying to communicate. And I think what this story communicates is humanity. It communicates resilience. It communicates that we need each other and that there will, for all of us, be an end of the line where there's nothing to do but surrender. And in those moments, what's the truth that emerges, and how do we live with the truth? How do we face the truth? And so the story has a lot to say, but for me, the reason to do any story is because I personally feel compelled by the journey that these characters are going on and the way the story is being told. Otherwise, go do a news brief, and we're not doing a news brief. We're telling a story and entertaining people and hopefully engaging them in a heart way and not in a head way.
Right. Okay. I like that. Heart way, not a head way. Okay. Cool. Matthew, for you, tell me about the fact that there's 3 generations of your family. You got your mom, you got your son Levi in there, and this is his debut. Yeah. So, how does it feel to be to have that opportunity to share that with him?
Dude, awesome! I never even thought about it. Never dreamed about it. It was never out there like, oh, wouldn't that be cool one day if? I didn't know he was even interested. He was working in the camera department, Levi, on this show, and after I pitched him the story, he was like, well, how old's your son? And I said, he's about your age. And he goes, can I read for it? And I was like, And he came back again. He came back 4 times total. I was like, can I read for it? Can I read for it? Found out they hadn't cast it yet. Pulled out the mobile device, recorded him. I was like, okay, you can hold a frame and just being honest in front of a camera, and that's a great start. And sent it to the casting director and said, I think this might be good enough for a callback. She goes, I think it's good enough to send to the director. She sent it to Paul. I said, can you pull my last name off? So it's not, it doesn't come in with the McConaughey, it just comes in with the Levi. And she did, and Paul looked at his tape and some other tapes. He goes, this is the kid. She goes, well, that's Matthew's son. And he goes, even better. So he cast him. And then it was him who said, let's cast your mom as your mom.
Come on.
And I remember going, well, hang on a minute, do you want to see a tape? And he goes, I don't need to see a tape. I said, yeah, you do. And I said, so I called my mom and I said, Mom, give me a minute recording of Why You Love Being a Mother. And she sent me an 8-minute recording and showed that to Paul. And he's like, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, and cast her. So thank you, Paul Greengrass.
Well, I love that. That's incredible. And the fact that she sent you an 8-minute just kind of makes it very authentic and mom.
She could have gone on, well, like she said last night. Way to go, man. Good. Way to drive,
Gosh, it
Matthew.
was the best. There's a very exciting moment, and the audience is silent, and all you hear is Matthew's mom go, good job, Matthew.
Yeah. And it's towards the end of the movie
so
where I'm obviously
great.
playing the character Kevin, but she's looking going, good job, Matthew.
So that's
God.
Way to get out of there.
Mom.
Well, you know what? I mean, listen, throughout that whole film, you're really pulling on that family unit, right? Like, we're still thinking about your family because we don't have that answer yet. We're still thinking about your family, especially as you get closer to the little guy, Toby, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Right, so that's in the back of my. I tell you, this movie had me so tense. I was just like, what is going to happen? So it's cool that while we're watching this film and it's pulling all this family unit and it's feeling all those feelings, you actually have your family there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. Okay, so I gotta bring up Jamie Lee Curtis. There was something that, as we were preparing for this, there's something that we stumbled upon that we thought was really funny and just kind of wholesome and cute. Everybody that works with Jamie Lee Curtis has a Jamie Lee Curtis story. Do you happen to have a Jamie Lee Curtis story?
I feel like such a failure. I don't have a Jamie Lee Curtis story.
I feel like there's one on the
I
tip
had a
of
bit of a
Matthew's
crush.
Say that again?
I said I had a bit of a crush on Jamie Lee Curtis growing up.
I feel like everybody at some point, she's been in so many movies, it's only right.
Boy, her commitment to this though, and for her to and the way she's followed through, she cares about this story and the people, the real people in it so
She
much.
pulled over on the side of the road.
Pulled on the side of the road
Yeah.
and said, called Jason Bloom, said, I got a move to make here, and her passion for it and conviction for it, and the integrity she wanted to make sure came across with the people she went with, from going to Jason to Paul to all of us. And it's really nice to see as a producer and as a person who wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for her pulling over on the side of the road that day.
For sure. Well, there's a great Jamie Lee Curtis story.
Yeah.
All right. That's my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And welcome. We'll be cheering you on.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Right now.